Well, today let's talk about a pretty small mind shift change that I made that has made a really big difference with how I look at food and my relationship with food. We'll also talk about the diet that Tom and I have decided to do coming up next. Well, hi, I'm Dawn from The Minimal Mom, and I've really been enjoying this series on, walking for weight loss, simple weight loss, because like I've said before, I've generally found that the simplest solutions in life are basically the only ones that we can maintain and stick with. But most of the times they're really just the most effective as well. And so in the first video, I really encouraged you to just get a pedometer app or a small pedometer instead of getting a gym membership. Not only is walking something that most of us can do every day, there's also a lot of science behind how getting out in nature reduces our stress levels, makes us feel better, and increases our energy. And so if we start out by doing that, then when it comes to making these changes in our diet, we have a little more energy going into it. We're feeling a little bit better about ourselves, and we've started to show ourselves that we can stick with something new again, because most of us, yes, have tried lots of things in the past that didn't work, myself included. And I guess I also feel kind of passionately about this because I've been there. I know what it feels like to feel hopeless with weight loss. I know what it feels like to be embarrassed or to not feel good when I go places. I know what it feels like to have loved ones say hurtful things that they're trying to use to motivate you, but it definitely did not come out the right way. And so I know I've never been a person that could just eat anything I want and, maintain my weight. It's always been something that I've had to be very intentional about. And now I notice even more as I get into my upper 30s that I can't even eat the things I ate in my upper 20s. I have to be more intentional about being active and being more aware about the foods I'm eating. And so sometimes it feels like everything is working against us, right? But like we talked about before, if we look at where you are now and where you would like to be, by just doing these small steps and these small changes every single day, I think this endpoint isn't gonna feel as far away and it's not gonna feel as daunting. And so today, what I really wanna talk about is this kind of shift in how I think about food that has made a really big difference. And it's this, it's looking at food as energy, because that's actually what food is, right? Food is energy. And so if I look at mashed potatoes or pasta, most of us have a pretty basic understanding of nutrition, that those are simple carbs, and that as they go into our body, they are meant to be used as energy. And if we don't use them up, they get stored as fat. And so if I'm sitting down to eat and I see the bowl of mashed potatoes and I'm trying to decide how much to put on my plate, what I think to myself now is, there is a lot of energy in that bowl of mashed potatoes. And if I put a lot on my plate, that's a lot of energy that I have to burn off. Otherwise, I'm gonna store it, and I don't wanna store it, right? If I just put a little bit of mashed potatoes on my plate, that's only a little bit of energy that I have to burn off. Now, I know it's not always as simple as calories in, calories out, but in some regards, it is. If we're generally healthy, we don't have thyroid issues or anything like that, it can be broken down to calories in, calories out. When I'm not active, when I'm not being aware of my portions or anything like that, I gain weight. Like, it's just as simple as that. When I'm active, when I'm more aware of how much mashed potatoes I'm putting on my plate, I lose weight, or I'm able to easily maintain my weight. And I would think most of us fall into that same boat. And so I've really found, as I've just gone back to looking at food as energy, and when I look at something that I want to eat, whether it's sugar or carbs or proteins even, I know those sugars and those carbs, bread, pasta, those kinds of things, I better have a plan for how I'm gonna use up that energy today, or it's gonna be working against my weight loss goals. Proteins, high fiber foods, high fat foods, well, those are more forgiving. I don't have to be quite as concerned about those and how I'm gonna burn them off today. So that's made a really big difference in me feeling like I have a healthier relationship with food. Like on New Year's Day, we went over to my parents. My dad had gotten a new Fry Daddy, like a deep fryer, and we were just kind of planning on having all the good stuff, leftover Christmas goodies, potato chips. I mean, we were going there intending to just eat lots of really good tasting food, But what was so good about it was I had gotten in my 10,000 steps. I actually went a little bit further because I knew we were going to be doing that. And then when we got there, I didn't feel guilty about it. But what else was kind of funny was that I also had in the back of my mind, like, I walked extra today and I don't totally want to ruin it by eating all of this food. And I think you're probably noticing too that as you're being more active, your body actually craves healthier foods. And so honestly, we got there. My intention was just eat whatever I want. No guilt. It was just kind of a free night before the new year started. Enjoy it, eat whatever you want. But as I sat down, I noticed I probably ate about half as much as I normally would given that situation. And I think it's just because I've been walking more and I didn't want to work against that, but also my body was, it's active and it's craving those really good foods and not necessarily the stuff that we were having that night. So it's been really cool just to see the transition. And then here's the other thing that kind of goes along with that is that if we start to look at calorie intake over a week instead of over just a day. A lot of times we start a new diet and we have an off day and we're like, well, it's done. Maybe even 2 days in a row. Nope, it totally blew it. But science actually shows that it's actually looking at the calories over an entire week. And so again, if we're looking at this food as energy and energy in and out, it's okay if sometimes we have these bigger meals or, a lot of times we just have unexpected things come up, where there's donuts at the staff meeting or we go out to a friend and they say, oh, you have to try this. There's lots of times where things can kind of get thrown at us that we're not expecting. But if we look at it in the grand scheme of a week, that meal, that day actually isn't as big a deal as long as the rest of the week I'm still aware of how much energy I'm taking in and how much energy I'm burning off. And so that's really been a really powerful mind shift to me. It's taken away a lot of the guilt and I feel like it's taken pressure off of myself that every day doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe the kids didn't sleep well, you were up last night, you had a really stressful day at work. But if we look at the big picture of the week, we're still actually on average doing pretty well. Okay, and I know I've been saying I would talk about the diet plan that Tom and I have decided to do, so I kind of gave it away last week that we have decided to do keto with intermittent fasting. And so definitely what I learned when I was working as a personal trainer was that every diet plan works. It's just whether or not you can stick to it. So I knew when we were looking at different options, it has to be something that we could stick with. And probably if I were to say, what's the closest to the perfect diet, because there is no perfect, it would be more along the lines of paleo. And Tom and I have been able to do that, but really for maybe like a month or two at a time has been the longest we've ever really stuck with it. And so I see keto as just a little more practical. It's a little bit wider range of foods, but I knew what we needed to eliminate is sugar and the processed carbs. And him and I do really well with weight loss and maintaining our weight when we take those two things out. We know that. I think most of us probably know that. I also really like the intermittent fasting because I found that just kind of by having that window of time when you're eating, it's simple, right? It's just, okay, well, I eat between these times and then the rest of the time I don't. And your body adjusts to it quickly. It's not always as hard as it seems like it would be. And a lot of you have said that you have had a lot of success with this combination. Ideally we wouldn't even need like a diet program or plan. We won't need to call it anything, but for Tom and I, we do better with guidelines. And I like that then if it's called something, it's easy to look up recipes. Like I said, I got this cookbook that I really like. I highly recommend this cookbook if you are thinking about the keto diet or you just want some new recipes. They're really practical and easy and I really appreciate that. But do your research, become a student of it. I was watching some YouTube videos last night, about intermittent fasting and keto, and it was talking about, we have sugar and how our insulin levels spike and our cells open up and then they want to store stuff. So this morning I opened the fridge and I see my coffee creamer with the sugar, or I could just put some cream in it, and I'm like, oh, I can't put that into my body, So I encourage you, if you're looking for a new, way of eating to try, research it, watch the videos, read everything you can online, become a student of it, take in the information yourself, and then you'll begin to feel more passionate about it, and getting from here to here is gonna feel a whole lot easier. I always love to hear how your steps have been going. If they haven't been going as well as you'd hope, it's okay. It's a new week. We're just at the end of January, so we have so much year ahead of us. This time next year, you're gonna be so glad that you decided to make the decision to get started. So I hope this helps a little bit. It was really good getting to visit with you today, and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon.